A lion hunting you. The lion called AI. See, if you feel AI is a threat, you begin this ancient human limbic dance of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn / feed. And you know what that means. You become something very ancient, stopping a threat. Just like many today wait for AI jobs to arrive so they know what skills to have so they can be prepared, even though nobody knows it. Many talk about it, including this podcast, and they miss what's right in front of their eyes. Critical thinking ahead, one of the new skills in episode 37 of the AI Optimist. AI jobs rising tide. Thrive or freeze? See, I want to take you through the threat of AI jobs and how many people are just making this either the end of what we've seen, and if that's true, then they'll look at the news that I'm showing, if you're watching the video, of Klarna a few months ago claiming its new AI assistant does the work of 700 full-time agents. 700. So if I think this is going to destroy me as a job, AI, I'm going to point a finger right here and say, you know what? Klarna, proof positive. Proof positive, because it said 700 people go. Now let's switch that around, because if you actually look at this, and this is part of what we'll talk about, remember you need to do that skill of critical thinking. This whole pod is hopefully a really junior level attempt at doing a little critical thinking at the AI jobs. Right. Because if you look at Klarna not as a threat, but an opportunity of how it saved all those people time and so far hasn't resulted in loss of jobs, nothing significant. It's not all about the end of the world. It's about letting AI do what it's going to do. And I want to share with you a little bit about what I've learned going through now this fourth iteration of the end of the technology world, because they are never going to be able to recover what this technology does. From personal computers, to the internet, to social media, to now. Oh, can we just give up the need to think this drama is happening and just look at what's in front of you? Because I want to give you a little career advice. I'm not exactly a young guy, and I'm not doing this just to shift in my career or some resume thing. I'm doing it because not only does this matter, but this is going to be more impactful, in my opinion, than the personal computer revolution, which was still limited. You needed to have a lot of money, or if you were like me, went into debt to get your first computer. And if the internet came along, you also had to spend a pretty substantial amount of money because it was hard to do. Then when social media came along, well, that just blew everything up, changed the whole world, and somehow we're still here doing jobs that didn't exist in 2005. Last I heard, there weren't influencers leading the way on TikTok in 2005. See what I'm saying? So now that we look at the AI jobs, there's been no proof in any of these revolutions, personal computer, internet, social media, of it actually destroying jobs. Yes, jobs were lost. But what we're talking about is to look at AI and think about the way you look at it, because it's going to impact your job, your career, some way, shape, or form. I can't believe people just want to hide and think it'll go away, or actually tell it to stop. Do you remember all those billionaires who gathered a while back and signed a document saying, stop AI? This is what we're all actually doing. Take a deep breath. Look at AI. A lot of people out there are afraid of it. I started the AI Optimist. We're in episode 37. It's been over half a year, season 2. And I can tell you, way more pessimists, way more people shaking their heads, most who have rarely done anything, or even harder, had AI thrown at them by bosses or companies without really guidance and saying, hey, but you got to upskill, you got to learn what to do. And they don't even so much know what to do with the prompt because it is new. Some with experience are in danger. Mid-level coders, middle managers who sort of like connecting people, shuffling things around. Automation can replace it, maybe. marketers of all kinds. A year ago when I got into this, marketing was getting wiped out and SEO was going crazy for AI. It still is. And there's a huge mediocrity there. And in a way, does it matter? Because now we're moving from a game of search into a game of questions. Try perplexity.ai. Ask a question, find the sources. Don't poke through the sources. Okay? Some are fearful that their jobs might change, and some might think it won't impact them. This has nothing to do with me. And of course, there's a lot of jobs in real life that aren't going to be impacted, but they're also going to be impacted because there's ways these tools are going to come in and make our lives easier. And I'm not just being the AI optimist here. I want to show you how you can take a look at some of this information and get a clearer picture for yourself. Don't take my word for it, because no matter what, I have bias. I've just disclosed it to you from doing the research and from seeing this as the fourth iteration in my life of a major technological shift. And this is way beyond anything I've ever seen, and I think any of us has. So no matter what you think about AI, what scares you, it's coming. New things come out daily. It's a rising tide. You can be afraid and go into freeze flight or fawn feed state, asking people to stop it. But if you are going to see what this is, it's a chance. It's a chance that you are not going to be given very often, because everyone's stopping, hoping things stay the same. Jobs lost, jobs gained is going to happen. We talk about agile, but forget the talk, because I want you to thrive. That's what this pod is about. And I'm getting here with AI jobs because many will learn soft skills, team building, empathy, listening, and other skills set aside because it really didn't matter. Others will integrate AI to make them more efficient. The people who curl up, afraid, in the fetal position, or those who deny AI will impact their careers, the future is not looking good. You know why? Because you're not seeing a good future. I'm not promising you it, but I can guarantee if you see a bad future, you'll find a way to find it. I've done it before. I'm an entrepreneur. You know why resilience is the key skill? Because it comes to being flexible. Resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility. Bend the mind, a spoon a bit. This is like yoga for your AI fearful mind. Brought to you by someone who's old enough to know that he should be freezing or pretending it doesn't matter in the face of a rate of change so fast, hard to predict, and everyone's predicting it. Just know something. You and I and Sam Altman and Elon Musk, we're all predicting the future. Some way, shape, or form. Find what you can control. Bring it back and ask yourself, why is it a threat? Because that threat, that draws out the ancient part of us. That's what makes people freeze or flight, go away or fight. I don't even like the word fight, but stand there. Stand up for yourself. Add to your skills. Because here's what's going to use these sort of prophetic statements. By the way, these people are running billion-dollar companies, so these are PR campaigns, okay? There's nothing wrong with it, but you're doing mega billions. When you say something like Sam Altman did, 95% of what marketers use agencies, strategists, and creative professionals for today will easily, nearly instantly, at almost no cost be handled by the AI. Really, Sam? If you really ever looked at that, 95%, let's use a little critical thinking. What's your sources there? What's his point of view? He runs a billion-dollar business. Doesn't he want you to be automated out of existence? That doesn't make him a liar or anything to that effect. It just makes him a very successful businessman doing what Steve Jobs used to call reality distortion. You'll believe it. You look to these leaders, and honestly, it's so new. I want to bring it back to you. Use a little critical thinking. In fact, let's dive into a few examples of AI jobs and show you how to use a little critical thinking, and leave this for you because I want you to go out and start using AI and stop letting that fear use you. So let's go to a report by McKinsey and start using a little critical thinking basics. We want to identify strengths and weaknesses. So when we're looking at a report or something talking about AI, even promising us what it could do for our career or a job or a boss is pitching it, identify the strengths and weaknesses. What's the situation. What's the pluses, the minuses, the merits? What are limitations? And number two, do we have limited data? Most often we do. 95% of marketers are going to use agencies that way, as Sam Altman said. That's not really limited data. It's just convenient usage of phrasing when you're getting interviewed. But limited data means you really, in the beginning, don't have a lot. And that's what's happening with AI right now. So always remember, when you're looking at jobs and trying to figure it out, don't get angry that it hasn't moved fast enough. Watch for the small signs. Watch for what people do. This is why when I go on LinkedIn and I see that from a very, very prominent friend in the ad business, that 19,000 people lost their jobs in the ad industry, the major big top ad industry, which is where a lot of job loss is happening. The fat 100K, 200K workers doing some good stuff, but that AI, or at least less people, can do. So limited data means you're looking at this in a very short-term window. Don't jump to conclusions. You don't have enough data. You're going to have to use your intuition, and you're going to have to trust your voice, but also understand that it's not backed by provable data yet, and don't let that freak you out. Evaluate different viewpoints. When you see something, think of the opposite viewpoint, and let's look at this in just a second. And then let's just follow logic and reasoning and follow the emotion of what matters to you. But is it reliable and sound in the end? Or is it just another point of view trying to get you to look at it the way they do? So this is a report from McKinsey. We expect an additional 12 million occupational transitions. Well, that's a very nice word. But they're showing what occupations seem to be resilient in AI. They're talking about health professionals, health aides, technicians, wellness, STEM professionals, transportation and warehousing, which is interesting. A lot of people thought we'd lose drivers to driverless cars and trucks. Doesn't look like it according to some reports, but this one says they're looking pretty good. They don't think it'll be replaced. Managers and business and legal professionals. Very interesting, because I can look at another report that tell me legal professionals are in the most trouble. Which one's right? I don't know, but I notice the differences. When they're saying different things, they're making an educated guess, okay? Which is what we are all doing. But if you're looking at your career, it's nice to see somebody see some resilience in it. So let's go to the stalled but rising occupations, according to this McKinsey report. Creative and arts management, property maintenance, education and workforce training, builders, community services, mechanical installation and repair, and agriculture. And if you don't think ag is impacted by AI, you should see some of the things they do with determining water, using drones to fly over cattle. I mean, every industry is being hit with this. And your job, if you were in ag and saw this stalled, wouldn't you want to know what AI can make your farm more efficient, could make your buying more efficient, could make your operations more efficient? This is what you want to think about. Not accepting this really bad work that we've accepted as humans as cogs in the machine. We can do better. And by the way, managers, I'm a CEO for many years, an entrepreneur of my own startups. You're only as good as your employees. Start upping them up. I mean, let's look at the hit and declining occupations, according to McKinsey. Office support, customer service, and sales. Production work, food services, all these things that can be automated definitely seem to be going away. Now, these say, hey, that doesn't really, impact me. Well, if we look at a Pew Research report, and again, let's use a little critical thinking. What are we trying to do? Strengths and weaknesses, different viewpoints. Try to use some sound logical reasoning. See what makes sense and what's just a guess. Because what you're going to find are those things that make sense are really going to give you those nuggets. And most people are trying to figure out who's predicting the right future. Nobody is. You predict the future. Invent it. That's how it works. I want you to know this. Because I am telling you, with AI, I faced it last year. I am doing this podcast with video help, audio help, ways that I could have never done it with many things I'm not strong at. So trust me, I know where you're coming from. It's not easy to say, I'm going to try this. But let's look at the workers who have high exposure to AI. And what's interesting is most times it's those people with education, those higher sort of more like purple collar jobs. He used to call them white collar jobs, but doesn't make sense. They get paid well. But Pew found that people with more education, because there's more AI in the work that they're doing, is exposed to it and are maybe threatened by it. Honestly, women, but they would say the jobs they had. Now, okay, that would give me a look from a critical thinking point going, when when you start breaking things down by race and stuff, and Pew's really good and very organized with a lot of ways to do it. But still, I'm always suspect of that kind of data because that's the women you're looking at to do those kind of jobs, in my opinion. It's always small samples. So we, again, as a critical thinker, it doesn't mean, oh, you're wrong, this is horrible, I'm right. That doesn't matter. What you're looking at saying, I think that's a weaker part of the argument. What's another point of view that would approach this? Higher wage workers do seem to be in trouble, but what's interesting is we could blame this on AI, but a lot of this from a Silicon Valley viewpoint happened back, I think it was in 2022, maybe early 23, when several Google major investors said, you all have just way too many engineers working here. Twitter's now X found the same thing, and Elon laid off a ton of them, and it really hasn't made that much a difference. Is that all AI? Or it's just that we're getting better running businesses and that the ways that we used to use computer engineers is changing. And that an engineer now isn't like eliminated, but if you're in that middle and you don't want to improve, or you're not adding AI and understanding the structure, the dependencies, how everything's connected, you're going to have to up your game. And you can complain about it, but again, that runs into the problem of you can't keep things the same. You just can't. We all try to keep things the same, but it's just a futile. So one of the most common groups to lose their job are knowledge workers. So again, let's use a little critical thinking, not get all, oh, I want to prove my point by finding this information. What you want to do is prove to yourself that you're learning and you're discerning through these things. That's how you're going to learn the new way and actually add value. You have time to do this. So as we go down on Vox.com, they're talking again about another McKinsey study. They looked at patents, AI patents that will affect your job. Who is patenting this automation? And it's all retail salespeople. If you're looking at the visuals, office clerks, general cashiers, registered nurses, customer service reps, all those entry-level jobs, those are in threat, and we should really be upskilling those people, and no one's talking about them. Same with people who work serving fast food, people who work in these really entry-level jobs. They're just doing stuff because nobody else will do it. Now AI will, but it doesn't mean that those people are worthless. In fact, I would switch the point of view management in the jobs world of AI and start looking at these people as being able to get more out of them because we don't have to have them do the miserable work nobody else will do. And on the low end of this is like wastewater treatment plant system operators. That's a little hard for AI to do, maybe robots. But as you see, what we're talking about here is not so much a threat as a reality. And if you actually use a little critical thinking, let's see what you can actually do. What can you do? Use AI in some way, shape, or form. Watch how you feel about it. It's not personal. It's not coming at you. There's not some great thing. It's a shift. When personal computers came along, people were freaking out. I went out, left law school because I didn't enjoy it, bought a Mac, published a magazine, and was doing magazines for people who were against competition, who were doing it in a print way, laying stuff out with typewriters and hand laying out every page. I could change it in the magic of a piece of software. Do you want to bring back the people who did the newspaper stuff? Or when we went to the internet, when all that paper I was doing at that time changed and it all went digital. Should we go back to the paper way, right? It seems silly, right? Well, let me tell you, you're going to laugh when you think about this with AI. Like we're all flipping out that because we can create crazy images and stuff that's actually quite average. It's not like some AI is turning out stuff that's like, this is better than Tolstoy. You know, this is better than the greatest writers, the greatest minds. It might have the greatest mind, but it's not human. And that fear, that limbic system thing, that's your strength. That's your core. And AI jobs, I want you to thrive, not freeze, not just sit there and stare at it. Use it. Begin with yourself, your job, your career. What can AI do to help you? What can AI do or is going to do to your job or career? I mean, if AI is everywhere, if we're identifying deep fakes, if we're being told we need critical thinking and resilience, that's what this episode was about. A really junior level critical thinking. Because you are out there amidst a bunch of people who are stopping, are worried, and I'm really sorry if you've been laid off because of this. There have been people who Some technologists said, get rid of them. Get rid of all the marketers. And you'll see these in waves, because the bad thing is, assuming most of the reports I've seen say that there's about 30% wasted time. And I've worked at jobs, I've had employees where they had to do this horrible work, drudge, mundane routine. These things we can automate now. That automation gives you 30% more of your time to become a more valuable employee, to learn some new skills, to do things so you're not also getting stuck in that drudgery. It's just a perspective, but it sort of is. You are what you see. You know, in quantum physics, it's very simple. They say there's particles and waves, and a particle is being observed, and when it's not observed, it's a wave. Okay, end of the deep stuff. But what's funny is you're observing it, and that point of view you have defines what that is, what it looks like. And so many of us project our inner stuff, our fears, our limbic system, onto reality. And this is what I'm trying to say. Take a look at that particle called AI jobs, the impact on your career right now, and see what you can do to look at yourself a little bit better, a little more kindly, and also look at this not as a threat, but what could this do to help me? What could I learn so that when you do go for those interviews, when your bosses do review you, when companies want new employees and new careers are coming up, they're going to have something to do with AI, and the people who are doing something with AI are way ahead. Most of people are just sitting there and saying, no, it's just a type, it's hard there. Let me tell you, I was there when the internet started. One of the many working really hard, great people you meet. That's what AI is like right now. That's what crypto was like before it crashed and everyone hated it. Because just like the dot-com time made everyone hate the internet for about 3 or 4 years until they realized the value. AI is going through this, but the difference here is nobody should be left out. And if you've got a job, a career, or if you want to get away from one, I'm going to tell you, start looking at how AI can help you, not to replace you, but to really support you, because AI jobs really shouldn't be something you feel like some lion stalking you on the savannah. Which, by the way, they found out that us Neanderthal people, we were the ones hunting the lions, and that's why they killed us. So remember that. We're actually the hunter, not the hunted. And maybe you can sort of let go and say, AI is not hunting me. I'm seeing how it fits in my life, because it's going to impact my career or my job. And instead of being afraid of it, instead of being afraid of that future, instead of predicting it, invent it.